QST, QST, QST. Eli, K6 LCM, Santa Barbara Amateur Radio Club will have its general club meeting virtually this evening. On Zoom and YouTube, visit sbarc.org for more information. Club meeting this evening, 19:30 hours. Visit sbarc.org to join us. Hope to see you there.
Making everybody bigger. Nice.
Get a text from me.
What?
Did you get a text? Hello. Who's that?
Hello. That's the whole meeting.
Oh. Did you just get a text?
Gosh, if I'm not careful, I might learn everybody's name. That's great.
Okay, my computer just told me it's time for the club meeting.
Where's your gavel?
I put it away. I was afraid I might hurt something with it.
Do we have to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Did anybody bring a flag?
I can get one.
Well, I don't want to stand.
There we go.
Oh, wait a minute. Images. Underwear.
Sorry, I can't stand because none of us are wearing pants.
That's why I didn't want to stand.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
All right. Let's get started. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
Flag
of the
United
United
States
States
of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God,
Uh-oh.
indivisible,
Liberty and justice for all.
liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Well, if there's any Chinese watching, that ought to have entertained them. There we go. We got the Constitution.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
All right. I don't, how many we got here? We got 16. I can't see everybody.
I'm gonna mute everybody.
Good idea.
Continue and then unmute you, Brian.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. So now everybody's muted. You've got the mic.
All right. Good. Let's see. Well, we can try and introduce ourselves here. I'm not sure if everybody sees people in the same order. Did we determine that the other night, Levi? I have you in the top row and Wayne and Michael.
Yeah, I don't remember.
remember.
Yeah, I do, but I don't remember if it's all the same or not. I can put it up on gallery view. I think. Yeah, I don't remember if it was or not, to be honest. I think there were some differences, but it was mostly the same.
Okay, well, let's assume that we're kind of, all right, if I'll go first. I'm Brian, K6 VPM, and then if you're in the top row, let's see, we'll go to the leftmost.
That me? I'm WB6RDV and you're not.
Okay. All right, let's see. Levi, you go ahead.
You know what? I think I can do it. Let's see. I'll do this. Okay. I'll just highlight each person.
AF6GX.
All right.
Mike, W0JFB.
Steve, you're up. Jensen. Oh, he's muted. It's all right. Let's see if we can
Mute myself.
There you go. I unmuted you.
Okay. My name is Steve Jensen. I'm a new club member about 2 weeks, I guess. My call is N6BHM. And live here in Santa Barbara, but haven't been hamming for a bunch of years. So a friend of mine's headed for Baja, so I got involved again and got my radio system set back up. So here I am.
Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
Bill.
Muted.
Oh,
Unmute myself. Okay.
you're unmuted now.
Yeah. W1UUQ here from Goleta. Bill Talanian.
Larry?
Yeah, I'm Larry, WA6MVJ in Nolita.
I'm Glenn Gray. I'm Newham. Just joined the club last month. You guys didn't have a meeting last month, so this is my first meeting with you, KN6HJW.
Doc?
W6EW, Doc. I'm just outside Santa Barbara on the Goleta side.
And we'll let Jay go again because he's in an interesting location where it's apparently brighter than it is here.
Yes, I'm in beautiful downtown Gates, Oregon, with both city limit signs in the same stick. WB6RDV, and you're not.
Why is it so light there, Jay?
Further north you get, the lighter it stays. And unfortunately, in the wintertime, it gets the opposite.
Wow.
Dorothy, let me unmute you. There you go.
Good. I'm Dorothy at K6DSO. I'm at near 5 Points in Nolita.
Al, KMZ.
Yeah, this is Al, KD9KMZ, and I'm in West Downtown.
Downtown where?
Oh, West Downtown, Santa Barbara.
All right.
Aye.
Tom? You're muted yourself, Tom. I think. There you go. Now we can hear you.
Okay. I'm Tom, N6YX.
Hi, Tom. All right. Marina.
Hi there, Marina, KA6JWL, Santa Barbara, by La Cumbre Plaza.
Beautiful view out your back door.
Great view.
Yeah, I'd like to say I'm right up at La Vigia Hill. The computer, but next to the repeater, but would be lying.
KG6BOV.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you now. Yep.
Okay.
And your name?
Stuart.
Stuart. Thank you. All right. Ken, you're up. You're muted, Ken. There you go.
Okay, how's that?
Good.
Ken, KA6KEN. You know, I just didn't even realize I was wearing this shirt today, but I guess I should show it to everybody. What does it say? Ham Radio, the original social network. How's that?
Awesome.
The original social network.
It's the original social
for fun. KA6KEN. Right. Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Ken. All right, and the last two don't have video, so I'll just call them out. Jim, HHX.
This is Jim, KF6HHX. Am I unmuted?
Yep, we hear you. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Yeah, the video went away, and so I'll be fiddling with it. But this is Jim, KF6HHX in Goleta, and this actually has worked amazingly well. I'm surprised. That was fine. So I'm here.
All right. Thanks, Jim. And then Will, SEZ. Will, do you hear us?
I do.
Okay. You're up. Your name, call sign, and location.
It's Will, K6SCC, and I'm here in Goleta.
All right, thanks. I think that's everybody. We have 10 in the YouTube streaming, but we don't know who they are. So if you're there and you hear it, look in the sidebar there for the chat and just give us your call sign, your name and your location in the chat room, and we'll give you a shout out in the channel as well. So back to you, Brian.
Yeah, I was trying to get the, I'll just, I was looking at the YouTube stream and it's got, mine comes up in a sort of a, in a grid pattern.
Yeah, I can change that. So it's whatever my screen is. So I did the grid for the introduction and now you're on full screen for you.
Okay, all right. Well, that's right. It's 45 seconds delayed. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for attending here. This is a kind of an experiment tonight to see how this works. So far, so good. You're looking at my the view from my front yard one December morning about 12 years ago at sunrise. So it's about the best one I ever had. So anyway, I got a picture of it. Let me see. Tonight we're going to have do a couple of little presentations. The most interesting one, of course, is going to be Bill, W1UUQ. He's going to kind of bring us up to date on all the cool things he's been doing at the island. And they've made a few trips out there recently, or one trip out recently, but a few this past year on helicopters, and gotten a lot of things accomplished. And we haven't, Bill hasn't told us all about it for a little while, so we thought we'd get him on here because he didn't have to go anywhere, and hope it goes okay. Before we get started, I want to, because of this, the Chinese virus thing here, a lot of things have changed. I know that at every meeting, there's always people asking about how they're going to pay their dues and that kind of thing. And also there's going to be, we've had a lot of questions about testing, either for upgrades, license upgrades, or new hams. And so I thought I'd get Tom on here for a minute and explain to us what's going on with all that. And so, if you talk to people, if any of us talk to people that are interested in getting a license, we'll be more informed about, what may be in store for the future and how long they can expect to wait to get to a test. Anyway, so Tom in 6YX, would you like there you go.
Okay, we should be unmuted. Okay, yeah. As far as the renewals, there will be a process the same way that they always are if they're made online. As far as mail-in renewals, I know there's some in the post office box, but I probably not going to go to the P.O. box for a while. So if you've sent those in to the P.O. box, let me know and I'll give you credit for it. I have to find a way that I could safely go to the P.O. box. And then on the subject of VE test, our last VE session was March 14th. And that was good because it was like right under the wire. People started getting worried about the virus and start turning that pretty much that same day. Now the VEs in our in the Santa Barbara group are all members of the ARRL VEC. Okay. The important thing to remember is that the VEs are not constrained to any particular VEC, and a lot of VEs belong to more than one VEC. And really, in doing testing, the VEs are required to follow, and theoretically the VECs are supposed to do their testing in accordance with the FCC rules. Now there are ARRL has not currently authorized online testing, but they are encouraging groups to experiment with the testing. The problem is that it could conflict with the FCC rules, and if you want to look it up, it's 97.501, I believe it's sections A and C. But my comment to, and question to that is, what is the worst thing that could happen? I mean, they need to make some kind of accommodation quite a while. So I'm not really concerned about someone cheating on a test and maybe getting an answer or two that they shouldn't have. Hopefully that won't be a significant problem as far as the ham community is concerned. So I think it's really just the mechanics of doing the testing, and we're looking for a way to do that safely. And I imagine a lot of it will be online, and I don't have a problem with people, say, taking a test online and just signing a statement saying that they did it without looking at any other materials. So that's possible. So things will probably come up within the next few weeks from ARRL, so I'm expecting that, and I'll send that around as soon as I hear from them. In the meantime, we can consider doing our own procedures, and if that makes sense, I can get ARRL to bless it. So any questions, anyone on testing?
I had a comment for you, Tom.
Sure, go ahead.
I heard on the, it was the Bozo network yesterday, I can't remember which one, that someone named Norm Goodkin is doing online testing down there. And I don't know the validity of that statement, but I did send him an email. I found his email address and shot it off yesterday in hopes that he, asking him to explain if that's the case and how he's doing it so I could forward it to you. And I haven't heard back from him, but I just thought I'd mention it in case you know him. Apparently he's kind of one of the VE guys down south, I guess, who's very involved in that. So I just thought you should know that that's what I heard anyway.
Yeah, he could be one of the groups that are in ARRL's latest newsletter to the VEs.
Okay.
There was about 3 or 4 groups mentioned in that newsletter.
Okay, I just thought you should know.
Yeah, so people are trying this.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Hey, Tom, I got several members of my off-road club that want to get their ham licenses. When you send that information, I can forward that to them, and that will enable to get some of the people involved and hopefully into our club as well.
Yeah, I will make it available once I hear something.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, I guess it's back to you, Brian.
Tom, I had one other question for you.
Sure.
As far as voting, now the bylaws say you have to be a paid-up member for 30 days prior to being eligible to vote. So if somebody's renewal is in the post office box,
yeah,
can we do a vote on the bylaws thing here maybe next week or something? Are we going to be able to accommodate that?
Well, like my suggestion is if someone had sent something by mail, if they just let me know, and I'll give them credit. I've already done that in one other case, and I would add that the vast, I think it's about more than 90% of the people renew online. We get about maybe 6%, 7% in person. So we're only talking about probably 2-3 members.
Okay.
That might have sent it by mail.
Okie doke. All right. We'll
hopefully the vote isn't that close that,
yeah.
that 2 or 3 will make a difference.
Okay. Levi, do you know how many we have on YouTube?
We have 8 right now, and looks like Mark W6TOK just checked in as one of them in the chat room. And I'll say if there are others in the chat room, others watching on YouTube, that there's a chat room below the YouTube video on the website. So if you're watching on our site, you might have to click the YouTube logo in the player. That'll bring you to the YouTube site. You'll keep streaming, but you'll see the chat room, and the player will fill up the screen, and you'd be able to chat with us in the chat room there. So just let us know that you're checked in, that you're there, that you're watching us, and we'll acknowledge you on the Zoom chat as well. Also, folks who are watching on YouTube, you can also check in with us on the club repeater 14679er or 14518.
Okay, let's see. Well, okay, hopefully everybody will check in on the chat room, and then we can see if they have any questions about anything. But let me move on to something else. Am I live here?
You're live.
Yep.
Okay.
We hear you.
Now, everybody should have got a thing about a bylaws change in the mail, so I wanted to just briefly say something about that. I'll be sending out another one here next week, but I'll probably have plenty of time to finish it up this weekend. But Jay Hennigan made some real good suggestions here, so I'm going to reword some of the stuff in that new article to accommodate some changes. It should make it a little bit more specific. So I'll send out a revised version for everybody to see, and then we'll wait a few days for comments, and then what we'll do is we'll set up a special form on the website, and then we'll send out a notice saying that everybody can go to the website and cast their vote. This would be, it's not specifically provided for in the bylaws, but if we pass the bylaws, by default, we'll be passing the ability of the board to make certain changes in how we vote and attend meetings, and how we conduct some of the financial business. That will be something that maybe we, if it works out well, might be something that we might want to incorporate into future elections. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of people have asked about online voting because it's kind of cumbersome to, have somebody deliver a ballot and all that. And we have a lot of members that are, that don't live in the Santa Barbara area, and it takes them, it's a little bit of a drive to get to meetings. So anyway, we'll see how it works. So all this is sort of experimental. At this, we were sort of just all put in this situation instantly, and so we're trying to recover and make the best of it. So, any questions about that?
Yeah, Brian, is that like mail or email?
Oh, hey, Josh. We'll be sending out, you mean the information that I'm going to send out?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be coming out by email, just like the one that was a few days ago. Did you get that?
I'll have to go back and look. I haven't been checking my personal email that much lately.
Okay, anyway, real briefly, it's just according to the bylaws were written assuming that we're always going to be able to meet at meetings in person, and that the board of directors are always going to be able to get together in person to do things like countersigned checks and things like that. So we're adding an article in the bylaws for exigent circumstances. So in situations like we're in right now, we could make changes for a period of time in order to accommodate the change of requirements for carrying on normal functions.
So is this going to be like a temporary thing? Because I'll be honest, that would be awesome. Because like right now I'm stuck at work, so I couldn't make a meeting even if I wanted to.
Well, I mean, the ability of the board of directors to make changes in how we conduct meetings and that kind of thing, that would be on a temporary basis. But you know, if it works out well, it might be something that you know, we can talk about later on. You know, I've thought if this works out pretty good, there might be a way to, even when we have meetings in person, to also stream them so people can attend them.
Brian, has this been approved by the board?
What?
This action that you're doing?
Which action?
Sending out the notice and the vote to vote?
Just sending out the notice. I'm just sent the one that I just sent out, the proposed change to the bylaws.
Right.
You got that a few days ago?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That was what I sent out. That was as a result of what I sent out to the board earlier in the week.
But the board still has to approve it to be voted on.
Yeah,
actually, any member can propose a change to the bylaws. So, I mean, it'd be nice to get the board to formally vote on it, but actually, we can, you know, anyone could propose changes to the bylaws without.
I'm just thinking about the minutes.
Yeah, no, I think I don't know that we formally voted on it. So,
well, at this point, we don't need to formally vote on it because all I'm doing is trying to get the language suitable,
right?
That everybody will approve of it. And then we will take care of the other stuff. But I am making a proposal that we change the bylaws to my first proposal had the language in it that I sent out originally. Then after getting feedback from members, I'm going to incorporate that feedback into a revised version, send that out. What I want to do is make sure that we, you know, have the majority of the membership on board and everybody's happy about it, and then we can, you know,
we call for a vote, but we still need to record that in the minutes.
Yeah.
That the board has approved.
Yes.
This going out for a vote.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet. I'm just trying to get the language down.
I understand, but how long would it be before we actually vote on it?
Not long. I mean, it would probably be, you know, I'll hopefully send out that revision on Monday, or maybe sooner, maybe Sunday, and see if we get any more comments on it, and see if we, you know, if we satisfied everybody's concerns. And you know, and then at that time, the board can decide that we're going to go ahead and conduct the vote on it.
Oh, okay.
And we could do the vote, you know, later on next week, and you know, leave the voting open for 3 days or something like that to give people ample time to be able to get to their computers.
So we'll have a board meeting.
Pardon me?
We'll have a board meeting then too.
I think you're going to have to call a special meeting to have the members vote on it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we can do that like we did at the other board meeting. You know, I want to get it rolling because, you know, I want to make sure that we're doing everything correctly.
So we'll have to call a special board meeting.
Yeah.
Well, I think more importantly, what Jay said is you'll have to call a special general meeting, which would be the election. But you don't actually.
Well, first we have to have board meeting to approve this action. And then we ask the board, the membership to approve it or vote on it.
Right. Yeah. So if I can make a comment, this is Al, that one of the things, once it goes to the general group, a typical way, if it needs final board approval, is that you give a proxy on there to, as your vote, that the board can then vote your vote if it's necessary. So you have to see which way you want to go, but that is a possibility as well.
Yeah, these are circumstances that nobody's ever faced in the club here before. So we're trying to sort of, trying to figure this out as we go along. But the first step is to get the members on, make sure that the members are on board with this, and that we can, once we have that, then we can do what we need to do as far as, if we have to have a 15-minute board meeting or something, special board meeting to approve this, and then send it out. But we've got doing YouTube meetings and things like that are actually if you look at the bylaws, the bylaws specifically say that we'll get together and have a club meeting on the third Friday of every month, and they're fairly specific about what we're supposed to do.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
It looks to me like it's fairly easily doable. The amendments of the bylaws have to be done at submitted in writing at a previous regular meeting, and or mailed to each voting member in advance of the meeting at which is to be voted upon. It doesn't say how far in advance. And then as far as meetings go, I'm looking at Article 3, and it says special meetings may be called at the discretion of the board. So what you're going to need to do is notice everybody, call the special meeting, and then you're going to have a quorum, which is 10% of the voting members, and 2/3 of those approving it, and you're in.
Okay.
And you could call the meeting, and then also say voting is open for 3 days, and then close voting. There's nothing in there that prescribes that voting actually has to take place at an in-person or virtual meeting.
Yeah, you just don't adjourn the meeting for 3 days.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. It's a virtual meeting, and it's open for 3 days, and
yeah,
there's a meeting the special meeting's called for the purpose of voting on the bylaws, and then you move to adjourn when you get a quorum and 2/3.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good to me. That we need about 15, 16 people to have a quorum. How many do we have now? We have 20 in here tonight. Well, we'll see what we can do. Okay, anyway, well, the big thing I just want to say is I'm going to you'll be getting another letter from me Sunday or Monday, and it will have some changes in it, taking into consideration the input I got from other members. And so we'll see if everybody's happy with it, then we'll move on from there to the next step and see if we can get this done, just to make sure. It's also, too, it's going to provide guidance for board of directors down the road somewhere, and they're going to go, next time some virus escapes from some test tube somewhere and everybody's locked down, it will already be provided for. So okay, anyway, good. But Jay, I particularly appreciate your comments. So I will get all that figured out here. Okay, let's see, what else was I can't remember if there was something else. Anyway, but we got W1UUQ in the queue here. He has a beautiful presentation on the Nature Conservancy, Santa Cruz Island, his repeaters. I'm sure he's got some in-action helicopter shots, and shooting live rounds at the seagulls. Anyway, I think I'll hand it over to Bill, and before he falls asleep here and let him get on with his presentation here, and I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Can everybody hear me? I guess you all see the Nature Conservancy now on your screens?
Not yet.
Not yet. You're gonna have to share it again for
You gotta
us.
share your screen.
Tell me that again.
We hear you. We see you. You need to click the share screen green up arrow in the bottom of your screen.
There is no green arrow, damn thing.
Use your mouse, Bill, and just wave it in front of your face there, and it should pop up with screen share as the green arrow below you. Do you see that below you there? Let me see if there's a way for me to request it.
Yeah, I don't see it. Can I go into escape and?
Well, yeah, I would. Yeah, if you're full screen, minimize your screen a little bit, and you'll see it.
Yeah, but I can't do that because it's full screen. But can I do an escape?
Yes, hit escape.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Move your mouse down towards the bottom of the screen.
that's what I've done. And let's see. Zoom level.
W1UUQ more.
Hey, Bill, to
Yeah.
the bottom of the window, not the screen.
You on a Mac, Bill?
No, I'm not. PC. Well,
We did this worked like 15 minutes ago, and then we killed the share screen, and now I have to get it back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share my screen, Bill, so you can see what it looks like here.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I think I know what you mean, but I don't see it.
Let me see if I can do it. So I took a screen grab here of Wayne when he was talking, but you see below the main area there, Bill, there's a thing that says screen share down here. Do you see that on your window just below?
No, I don't see it.
You don't see that.
That doesn't show up when you share your screen. That the Zoom control bar is not there.
But you guys see this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody else is on a PC, hover over the share screen and tell them what the keyboard shortcut is.
Oh yeah.
5.
Alt 5.
Alt 5.
Oh.
Yeah. Try Alt 5, Bill.
Or Alt S is what it looks like on mine.
Maybe it's
Alt S. Alt S.
Oh, Alt S. Sorry. Alt S.
Oh, yeah.
I wish there was a way I could request you to do it, but I can't. So.
Yeah.
Press Alt S.
What did you say? Just type it?
Yeah, just type it. Yeah,
Press Alt S.
The Alt key down and hit S.
No.
Uh-oh. That's probably, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Yep, we got a problem.
Get out of here.
It's already on. He's already got it up somewhere behind the screen. If he minimized his background, he should probably just,
Okay, should I? So there's share screen there, right?
Yeah. So click. If you see the word share screen, click on that.
I did. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so
there it is.
There you go.
There you go.
Hey.
Well,
we got you.
Kind
All
of.
right.
Partly.
All right.
There it is. There it
Anyway,
is.
this is just a picture of the sign as you come onto the island, so it just starts things off. Let me explain the island a little bit here. Santa Cruz Island is the largest of 8 islands in the group, and it's 22 miles long and about 2 to 6 miles wide. It's 62,000 acres here, and Diablo Peak. Are you seeing my pointer right here?
Yep.
Okay. Diablo Peak is right about here, where my pointer is. And that's almost 2,500 feet. It's the tallest peak on any island, all the way from Nova Scotia, I guess, going up to Alaska. And I only know of one other, maybe, that would be close, and that's Blue Hill in Massachusetts, but that's nowhere, that's not an island, but it's close to the shoreline. In any case, this island is in Santa Barbara County, as well as Santa Rosa Island and San Miguel, which are to the west, and to the east is Anacapa, and that's actually about 4 little islands, but they're all together, and that's in Ventura County. So what you're looking at here is the comes underneath Santa Barbara County. The island here, the history of this is quite extensive, and I'm not going to get into that because there's so many books that have been written about the island, as well as videos and so forth, and the ownership and so forth like that. But I'll just try to cover those things which kind of brought amateur radio to the island, if you want to go back a few years. In any case, let me just explain the boundaries here so you understand. A lot of people don't quite understand what's going on out there. The line that I'm going over right now that begins at Prisoners Harbor and cuts across in this way to the south, that belongs to the Nature Conservancy, all on the left side here. The right side here belongs to the National Park Service. In actuality, when the Nature Conservancy took over the island, they actually had pretty much right about over in here, but they donated back some of that land to the Park Service. Now, if you're going to go to the island on a visit, you go in here to Scorpion Ranch, and you take a boat out, and the boat is Island Packers. They put about 65 people aboard on a double hull boat, and you're out there in an hour and a half, and they take people off here. And then the boat continues down this way to Prisoners. Now, very few people go to Prisoners only because they cannot enter the private lands right here of the Nature Conservancy, which is just like the Radio Club. It's a 501 organization. And so the only lands that are sort of public lands that are how should I say, governed by the National Park Service is this part of the islands right here. The Navy site is right about in this position right here. Now, there is a way to go to Prisoners, get off there, and cut over like this line right here. And that goes to a campsite here called Del Norte. Because I don't think you could hike this distance in one day, because the boat drops you off at about 11:30 and you spend the day. And if you want to come back on the same boat the same day, you'd have to board the boat about 3 o'clock. So the boat comes down here, takes the people off, then it goes offshore, anchors out. When it's ready, they come back in, pick up some people, 2 or 3, and then they go back this way to Scorpion, then they go back to the mainland. So you're back on the mainland by about 5 o'clock. And in the summertime, those boats are running a couple times a day, and they have about 100 to 200,000 visitors a year out in this section here. But nobody's allowed in this section over here, just on a visitation and going around the island at will. And if you do, you really do need to get permission to even go ashore. Although they will let you park your boat over here and walk about 10 feet inland. So that pretty much explains what it is. 76% this way and 24% this way. Pardon me. I'm trying to go back in the history here of when we got engaged, and maybe Jay can help me out a little bit, but I think our first operation on the island was a 220 repeater that was built by Dave Johnson, NF6F, who is still with us here at the Forest Service. And he's a tech down there at down at Los Prietos. And I believe he put the first repeater in operation. It was a 220 box.
Yeah, I think it might have been Jug, Dave.
No, I think Jug came after.
Yeah, it was a couple of, Jug had the original repeater that I'm familiar with was built out of a couple of Midland 220 rigs.
Correct, yeah. And I think I have pieces of that somewhere, the two Midlands stuck together. And I have to check with Dave sometime when I meet up with him and see if he can recall just the first history of that. And Jug has been there very close. He's either the first or Dave is, but it's very close. And when I got here in 1975, the island right here, there was a place over here called Mount Pleasant. And it was operated by the Santa Cruz Island Communications Company. And that was a 3-member, what should I say, operation. Dr. Stanton, who owned 95% of this island, was owned by one person, Dr. Stanton. And he had a partner called Ted Green, WA6GNY. And Ted was doing a lot of his communications work on the island. Ted worked at Point Magoo. And then he would, on weekends, go to the island and do work out there. So they formed the Santa Cruz Island Communications Company. And I believe Largo Messino, the attorney who was the brother of the former congressman, was also the third partner. And so what Ted did, he had a communication site here at Pleasant, and that was where the first 220 repeater was. And I came in 1975, and I went to the island and had a good time. So I went with a group, but this was not the first trip that you're seeing here. This was a couple of trips later, but you can, if I blow it up, you can probably recognize some of the people. And I think that's, looks like OBB there to the left. And that was one of the first groups that we had going out there. And Ted was expanding both Mount Pleasant as well as Diablo Peak. So he had helicopters going out there to take materials for development. So and then he said, Bill, can you get the 220 repeater up to Diablo Peak? And I said, yeah, I think so. But I said, you know, we really need a duplexer. And it's really a POS, a piece of whatever. And I said, you know, it's just junk thrown together and it's not doing well. So he said, well, get it together. And I got this box right here. And with the help of a couple of guys, we put it in there. And I said, well, we're going to need a duplexer. So the duplexer came along and we moved it up to Diablo. And that was about 1986. Now, one of my first trips up there, oddly enough, was outside of Aspen Helicopter, was with this Chinook. And this was taking the Park Service up. And if you look at the ground there, it was all eaten out. That's because the 10,000 sheep got loose. Dr. Stanton died in 1986, I believe it was. And the sheep got loose, and then the pigs got loose, and they ate everything in sight. And it was like the moon. And we took the Park Service repeater up in this Chinook helicopter, which is a very unusual way to get there. But this is an early picture here of the building that was going up. And this was a site that was being paid for by Verizon, not Verizon, but GT&E MobileNet. And they had they did a long plan for putting in a cell site out there. And they made an agreement with the Conservancy that they would provide the Conservancy with cellular communications. So they bought into the system and they paid rent to the Conservancy for this location. So Ted put in the communications site. He also hosted a company that did paging system work. And there were lots of paging antennas here. I think I took down, when it was decommissioned, 19 or 20 paging, 900 megahertz paging antennas. And I got involved to put in the 220. Of course, I was still working at the time, could only go out there maybe on a weekend. But this shows you the early makeup of the system. And this kind of cleaned up a little bit of the work that we had in there. And then we decided to build a new system. And so I got a Caltrans box. You see these Caltrans boxes along the side of the highway. That if you can get one of those boxes, get them, because they're they are built like iron, they are iron. And we had one of our members that worked at the Caltrans yard here in Santa Barbara, Gene Foose, I believe his name was. And Gene says, oh yeah, you need a Caltrans box, we can get it for you. So we kept it over Kelly's house, and then he gave us a few more. So those became the sort of the way to go if you're going to build a repeater and put it into a box. I put this one here together at my house and put 2 boxes along the side to put the solar regulators inside on this small box here. And this is the crew that helped put it on board a truck, because Ted had called me up and he said, can you get that repeater out here now? He said, we got a helicopter. And I said, well, I'm not finished. And he said, well, take advantage of it. Maybe you can finish it when you get out here. So we moved it out rather early, and we put it on a concrete platform here. And then we built another platform right next to it for batteries and so forth. So the first contact was with RIJ here, and that was in 1989. We built up the system right here, and located in here was Channel Islands, not Channel Islands Aviation. They were located up in the main building. Aspen Helicopter. Aspen Helicopter was trying to get a repeater out there. Their repeater was working from San Ynez Peak. So I went down to talk to them. They wanted to move it out of there. And I had been to San Ynez Peak by helicopter at least 2 times with them. And I was with Ted Green, because he was the one that was in charge of the equipment. And Ted invited me to go up with him, but I didn't understand why. And Ted said, well, you know, when you get the opportunity, he said, move the repeater from here, maybe take it out to the island. And it was in the Franklin building. And I didn't understand why Ted was telling me that, because I didn't work for him. I was only doing things for amateur radio. And I didn't realize that Ted had cancer. And subsequently there, of course, he died. And the project was kind of left to me. So I went to Aspen and I said, well, I can get that repeater out to the island if you can take 2 batteries out there for me. Well, the batteries we had were each 500 pounds, Absolite batteries, and that was 1,000 pound worth of batteries. And those batteries they lasted up until about a year or 2 ago. And they were there for about 15 years. This was some of the crew that went out there to help out. Ted Green, if you didn't know him, he's a giant of a man. Let me go back to that. That's Ted right here standing on my left. And I think that's Rod and of course George and Al there, and of course Jug, everybody knows him. And Ted invited everybody out there for a couple of years to do field days. UHF, VHF, we went out there with like 10, 15 people at a time. And he would pay for all the helicopters to get us up on top. Kind of interesting how he did that. And antennas, and we brought food and everything with us, and everything was helicoptered in. Sometimes people kind of hiked up, as we did on many occasions. This is 85 Tango, our workhorse to get up there. It's a 206 long, and it's still in service with Aspen. And you see the floats down here in the bottom. The FAA regulations call for no single engine helicopter or airplane can fly over water. Of course, well, I go back on that. No helicopter, unless you have floats on a single engine. Or you can have a twin engine without floats. And just a few weeks ago, that's the one we used, was a twin engine helicopter without floats. In the makeup of the Peak, one of the racks that was going up, we would take our cargo and just stuff it into the rack and take it up. And you see cement bags, and we would land down at the bottom, or they would land and bring everything up one at a time. Then Ted said, well, they had 2 wind generators out there, and they had solar panels, 60 some odd solar panels. And then he said, well, I can't let you put the solar panel, which is right here. So he said, can you get the solar panels in the far field? And I asked him why. He said, well, to get it out of the shade of the of the wind generator. He said that would get in the way. So I said, okay, fine. So I brought a team out. They dug the trench. I got the cable off one of the ships I was working on, and we put the cable in all the way from the Caltrans box to a set of solar panels right here. And we had initially 6, we went to 8, and then one of the helicopter blades flew off one of the wind generators, and it crashed into it, destroyed a couple of solar panels, and we had to replace those. Now, the island at that time still had a lot of feral pigs on there, and you could walk right on by them, and so long as they had something to eat. This is right outside the Navy Chow Hall. The Navy had out there about 30 people during the week. They no longer do that, and they had a team of people, of course, that cooks and whatever, and they had housing, not housing, but they had a bunk room for all the people to stay at. Now they operate it with only about 2 people, and they do everything telemetry out of China Lake and Point Magoo. One of the cooks here would just go out and throw some stuff out. Now, his purpose in doing this was to catch one of the pigs, and that's what they actually lived on out there. So he would cook one up. This right here, there were many animals on the island. There was pheasant, dog, chickens, horses, cows, all kinds of animals. Well, subsequently, after the doctor died, the Nature Conservancy, when they took over, they took the island, they turned it back to an original state. Well, after all of the land animals were moved off, the only one of the few remaining ones, of course, was the indigenous fox. And this is Josie the fox that I befriended. And she would really come right up to the dog and me, and we could hold her. But she was there as a little pup, so she would actually come up to people. And we don't know what happened to her. Later on, we got a 412 helicopter. This is a 4-bladed, let's see, UH-1N. And this is the same type of helicopter the county has now for its water dropping operations, except the county does not have airbags. A set of airbags like this is about $250,000. You'll notice that this Huey has 2 engines on it, and that's a Marine Corps version, and PHI Pacific Helicopters ran these out of Santa Barbara to do the work on the islands, on the platforms rather. And Jack Gooderl worked for PHI. No, he worked for, not PHI, but he worked for one of the oil companies. And he conned PHI and had taken us out for the weekend. So we went out with search and rescue as a team, and there were 14 of us in the helicopter. One of the first field days we had out there, we would take everything with us. And this is the array of antennas that we had out there. I mean, it was complete. Now you're lucky to get out there with a handheld. And this is Rod, and I think it looks like VNN there. And taking batteries back and forth. This is the way you had to get it there by helicopter. This was not one of our batteries. It was one of Verizon's batteries. And when batteries wear, they don't last long, and when they wear out, you got to helicopter them in and out. Very, very expensive. The reason why Verizon was located on the island was because, if you recall, when what do you call it, cell phones were when they first came on out, there were these heavy units they would put in cars, and they needed long-range sites. And this was one of their long-range sites to cover the coastline. Of course, all of that was done away with when the microcells and mini cells came on out. At one point in time, when they wanted to clean some of the stuff off the island, they got this helicopter out of New Zealand because at that time, the Nature Conservancy had taken over, and they were trying to clear the island, all of the sheep and all of the pigs that were out in the island, about 10,000 sheep and about 5,000 pigs. And they couldn't catch them because they were all over the place. So they brought in a professional hunting team from New Zealand, because it created so much controversy in this country because they had hunters on the island and it got into a political issue. So what they did was they hired the company called, I'm forgetting the name, but they're still in the United States doing other work. And they brought their own helicopter, their own vehicles with the other side drive, and their own dogs to help them with the hunting, so forth like that. And this helicopter right here is a Schweitzer, and it's a reciprocating engine, and it's amazing. I couldn't believe what you could lift with this little guy, and it has a reciprocating engine with what do you call it? On the from the engine to the transmission is all by drive belts, and you could hear them squealing as he would pick up the load. And this pilot was very good. He could lift up a heavy load, dive off the hill, as you can see right here. I mean, I don't know how much he was lifting, but that's one hell of a lot of weight when you look at batteries. And in this helicopter here, you fly from the left seat, not the right seat.
Bill, how did they get the helicopter from New Zealand here?
They bring it over in a cargo container, and this helicopter was maintained by Aspen Helicopters, and it may still be in the United States. I don't know why they keep the registry there, maybe because of cost, importing, who knows. And I was given the task by the Nature Conservancy. They said, well, after the breakup of the Santa Cruz Island Communications Company, it wasn't really a breakup. They wanted to stay there. Ted wanted to stay there. He wanted to keep the operation going to make money because he was a private person. Plus, it was aiding the island. Well, the Nature Conservancy did not renew their lease. So they said, okay, it's over. You can take whatever equipment you got, you can take it off the island, but your lease ends now. So Ted was heartbroken over it because he had put his whole life into it. So he had to leave. After Ted died, they cleared out all the old stuff, and I was given the task of putting together a team to take out all the old stuff that was remaining that they didn't want there. So we used this time with the Schweitzer when the dogs and everything were out there and moving it all off. When Ted was building up the island, this is how we got the stuff there. This picture is backwards. And this is our original solar panels right here. And you can see part of one of the wind generators right there. The wind generators did not work out. It cost them a fortune to get them there. And the wind generators required so much maintenance. There were helicopters going back and forth as they had to adjust the braking all the time. And it was just not up to the technology of today. So this is the solar panels that we put in, and it went back to, I think, right here. Yeah, and that was about 100 feet. Let's just see what else they got. This is the original set of batteries we had out there before we got the Absolites. And this is a picture of some of the original equipment. The reason why I like it, because this has got the two wind generators here and a 65-foot tower, which is still there, and the antennas here for the paging systems and other things. Now this is all the solar right here that the GTE people put in. But anybody else that had a system there had to put up their own solar panels. They wouldn't let them get on the GTE system. And this is after we built up our system. I only had one pole there, and this is the 220 antenna right here. Put a 6 meter out there, which didn't do all that well. Nobody was using it. It was a remote base. So I took it out. After years of being out there, I just said, the heck with it. Why are we supporting it if people aren't going to use it? This is our ELT antenna. We have an ELT receiver in here. And I'm forgetting what that is. Maybe that was a 2 meter remote antenna. And this is Aspen Helicopters antenna right here. This antenna right here was the 900 megahertz backhaul for GTE MobileNet, and that goes to Tahigas. So this pretty much remains there. But what the Nature Conservancy has told me is we don't want your equipment out there. Can you consolidate it into the main building? Well, you know, don't throw me in the briar patch because these batteries right here were dying. So I was happy to move from here over to the main building, but they want to eventually get all of this out of there and so forth and put it over into the main building. Let me go down one more here. This is part of our field day stuff that we had out there. And this is Thorsten when we were doing our 2.4 or 2 point something?
2.4.
2.4, yeah, when the amateur stuff. And Thorsten put up some of the first systems. And he has a whole program that he was going through to do that. And we were doing that on behalf of UC, because UC paid for the first camera out there. And they said, can you get the information back to the mainland? And well, we come on up with this thing, or Thorsten did, a great guy. He came on out with us and hooked his system up, and it worked for quite a while. And these are some of the helicopter stuff that we were, you know, to and from. This right here is a set of solar panels the Nature Conservancy had put in. And these are the batteries right here. This is to supply the ranch. In addition to this, they have 2 motor generators, diesel generators. This is John Wetzork and Bruce Gordon and myself here. And this is the pad that we have right now for the helicopters. And it's only about 12 feet long. And you can't land a big helicopter there, a Chinook or a CH-60, which is the Black Hawk. We were out there with the Black Hawk recently. The wheelbase on it is about 19 feet. So we have to go down to another landing area and then hike up. We had white tablecloth dinners out there. We had a tree house, and you could live it right there at the tree house. Nature Conservancy said, no, you can't do that anymore. So all of that stuff went out of there. These are the solar panels as put up by all the users of the hilltop. And we would bunk out. And I think I was one of the last persons to bunk out there with WAPEY. And some of the first over water things that we did for APRS was a system that I had built up for Aspen Helicopter. But before I did, I tried it out on amateur radio, and I had Bruce's call sign on it. So that's how N6OLT ended up there as we were transiting the 20 miles going to the first point of land here. Aspen saw that, and they wanted it in their helicopters. And I said, well, you can't do that. They said, well, can you make up a package? And I did. And I worked 5 years down there trying to do development work with them. It did not work out for the investor, but I had fun doing it on the helicopters and airplanes. This is the east end landing strip right here. And as you're coming in, you go landing uphill and take off downhill. So no matter what the wind is, fierce crosswinds come across like this. And there's a new place up in here called Valley Peak. And this is on the Conservancy side of the island. And Valley Peak is where the county is putting up their new comm site. I hope to have you some pictures of that later on. And the county of Santa Barbara is got equipment now that they're installing. The power is in, the microwave is installed, 11 gigahertz with 2 10-foot dishes on either end. I think they're 10-foot. Diversity antennas that go from here to Santa Ynez Peak, of all places. And the Nature Conservancy bought into 50%, better than 50% of the bandwidth of that the county had in return for rent-free operations here by the county at Valley Peak. And I did some of the first surveys up at Valley Peak, which I documented. So that's for another day. But I expect that operations will begin maybe in a few months. The power is in, the generator is in, the batteries are in. And the guys from the county are going out there until the virus came along, and they're installing all of the equipment And Forest Service is there, Park Service, Nature Conservancy, and so forth. This is Diablo Peak right here, only 4.5 miles away. And at the peak, the equipment that we take care of out there, essentially the hilltop, even though we had an agreement out there, the Conservancy only had the agreement for at a 5-year period. And they didn't want to quite do it every 5 years, mainly because it's a lot of work to go through the agreement. So we're there, we're sort of there in a handshake. They can kick us out anytime. But we're doing them a favor because we take care of their repeater, which is up here, and their second repeater is over here, with a change of PLs, of course. So we put in the original 2 systems, repeater systems for them, and Master 2s, eventually upgrading to Quantars for narrow banding. This is a picture here landing uphill, and this is the other way to get to the island is with a twin-engine island operated by Channel Islands Aviation. You'll notice you come over the spit of land here over the Gerini property, and you land uphill. This right here is some of the work that we were doing on the island. When UC had its program out there, the island is split in half by a rift, and on one side of the rift there are pine trees, on the other side there are no pine trees, and they can't figure out why. So they had a study group out there to investigate why, and Dr. Still at the university put in about 20 weather stations, but he couldn't get the information back to the mainland. So we put in the 2.4 stuff, and we're doing it over that. You'll never guess what this is. If somebody's ever been to South America, they'll figure it out, because a Peace Corps guy was the one that I understand that started this. If you want to collect rain, this is the way you do it. You take fishing filament and you run it back and forth like this. And as the fog comes in, it'll collect on this and drip down into a tube and go down to the bottom. And you can measure that water. So that's one of the things that they were measuring. You'll notice the pines. These are very specific type of pine that grows on the north slope, but not on the south slope. And the reason is because of the fog bank. And you can see it right here. See the rift coming right straight through the island like this. And these are the pine trees on this side, no pine trees on this side here. These here are not pine trees, they're oak. And this is the original building right here with the 65-foot tower. And that tower still remains. And let's see, what do I got here? This is the building. Let's see. Some of this equipment is now gone. This right here is a Science Foundation, HPWREN people, and that do the earthquake. They don't measure earthquake. They measured what they call this crustal deformation. And you see these sites all around California going around on the Ring of Fire. So if the earth moves a millimeter one direction or the other, they can do it through satellite reception. Then they send all of that back to near La Cumbre Peak, and Jay will recognize the name Chichi Castaneda. I don't know if he does remember that. This right here is our latest helicopter that we're going out with. It's the twin engine. Right here, you can see that at the top. And this is a late, this is another way that we get out there with, let's see what, no, this was with the county. And this is the way we get stuff in there. Got to bring it in by helicopter. We had a generator out there. And this right here is a way we were out there on the 26th of March, just a few days ago. And we're using that same helicopter because of the twin engine. This is the other way we went out there during the flood and the fire. And I swear I didn't think this guy, I measured his wheelbase on the net and I said, I don't think he can make it. And if you look at it right here, this is a Dolphin helicopter with the Coast Guard. And if you look at the wheel right here, he's got his brakes on. If he slipped back even 4 inches, that whole helicopter would have been over the side. because this is a 45-degree slope. And this is Wayne here lugging the stuff up. You have to, I know the pilot kept the, it was a hot unload, so he had a little bit of control over that rotor to keep him up there. And, but I know he was on the brakes also. So we had to offload the stuff, and we had to be in the bunny suits for the trip, which meant that we had to stay in the bunny suits all day until they came back to pick us up. This here is Wayne putting together the 4-bay antenna for search and rescue. That's a recent addition. And we're taking down some of the stuff here on our equipment. This right here is doing the search and rescue mast right here. This right here is the search and rescue. This is Park Service. And this is the antenna that we put up, our 5.8 out there, operates from here to the mainland. And Ludo takes care of all of that for us. This is Aspen's antenna right here. Let's see. This is Yao offloading at Point Magoo. And the Diablo Link project, I'm going to leave for another day. This was the original group that that was put together by Thorsten and so forth. Anyway, I hope that wasn't too long. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I know it was a little bit long, and I hope to give you a little bit more tour of the island later on. I do want to introduce you, though, to the fact that we have, through Dorothy's efforts, we have recently teamed with the Santa Cruz Island Foundation and Marla Daly, who was relocated from Santa Barbara. She is the curator of all the history of the island. And while we may not be a footnote, we are making the things that we do out there felt. And a lot of people know what we do. It's we may be there a while, but one of the ways, of course, is to help maintain the equipment that's out there. And we do that pro bono. And Santa Cruz Island Foundation, matter of fact, Levi, you were there, you and I were there the day. Who else was with us? Dorothy was there. You and I, when the Santa Cruz Island Foundation got the keys to the new building at the bank building. And Marla took us over there and showed us the new, what do you call it? I think it's Wells Fargo. No, it was
Bank of America.
Bank of America building. They took the keys to the building the same day that we met with them. And let me tell you what the story is very shortly. They want to have amateur radio when they put up their new building, which is going to be all about the history of the island. And she has many of the artifacts. Amateur radio will have a seat at the table. In other words, we're going to be able to have a station there, a small station that we can put in. And she's in love with radio because of our history on the island. And she's invited us to be there. And it'll be a while before we get there. So Levi has got charge of that project. So we hope to explain all of that stuff later. And thanks everybody for hanging in there with me. And I guess I don't know who takes it, but go ahead.
Good job, Bill.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Bill.
Excellent, Bill. Excellent. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
You're welcome. There's more. We can go on for days.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Bill?
Yeah, I just can't wait to get better, Bill, and help you out on Santa Ynez with my truck.
Well, we could certainly use you because that last quarter mile going up to Santa Ynez Peak is impassable. I have blown one tire, that was $200, and I wrecked my brand new Tahoe, what do you call it, side runner over there. I fell into, the potholes are so big, the vehicle fell in and it wiped out one side on that little step runner. That's another $300, but that's the cost of doing work for the club, I guess you could say.
Well, I'll be happy to help out when I get back in the truck.
Yeah, we want that big truck of yours.
All right.
No good deed goes unpunished, Bill.
Say again?
No good deed goes unpunished.
You're not kidding. Yeah. Got to get you up there too.
You have donuts?
Do we still have some at the fridge at the club station?
You know, I was down there a couple days ago. I forgot to look.
If you go at the right time of year, there's enough earwigs to feast on.
Yeah.
Pretty soon you won't have to look. They'll just come out and look for you.
Yeah.
If I go in there and the room's all messed up, you know, they'll be getting out at night.
Well, as long as they have a license, they can operate.
Yeah, it was actually kind of weird walking in there. I haven't been in there in a while. I got down a couple of times, but I mean, it's like, you know, not the same as going in every week.
Yeah.
Probably forget actually, if you guys are around, you ought to go make sure you're, stop by and make sure your combinations to the doors still work if you have one, because I think they like expire or something if you don't use them every couple of months. I think that happened a couple of times.
Yeah, like my airport badge. Levi had expired and they said, don't worry about it. That's the first time I've heard that.
Oh, they mean they're going to keep it going?
Yes. Well, not keep it going, but they said, you know, if you don't show up before it expires, you know, they'll throw you out.
Right, right. And they said,
You
don't
know
worry.
how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no nonsense.
Yeah.
And I called them and they said, I took the test, you know,
Mhm.
the online testing, and I got all of that. So, and I called them up and I said, well, I said, the renewal date is, don't worry, you know, we'll hold on, just hold on to it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, who do we got there?
That was Ken.
Oh, Ken.
What? What did I do?
You became the big picture. What are you doing there?
I was scrolling through the pictures, but I didn't think I didn't do anything in particular.
You just broke squelch.
Is
Yeah,
that
he broke
your
Squelch.
shack or is that a background?
Yeah, what's
Oh,
going
I
on
broke
there?
squelch. Is that what happened?
Yeah, but
Okay.
what are you doing there? Because it looks very, like, weird.
I
Is
set
that
the background. I took a
shack
picture.
live, or if you got like a virtual background?
It's like a virtual background of your shack, right?
Yes.
What did you want us to think you didn't leave the shack? Are you in bed now? You trying to trick us? I've heard people take a video of themselves doing this, and then they set that as their background, and then they leave, and then their boss thinks they're still at work in the meeting going.
I took a picture with me in the corner so you'd see two of me, but I took that one off.
Sort of like a little Mission Impossible stuff.
Yeah, yeah. By the time you realize that he's not there, he's in New Zealand.
Oh, look, where's she's La Cumbra Mobile Home Park. You went outside. You must be up by Jay's house where it's still light.
How do you do a virtual background?
It's under the preferences. So you go up to, well, I don't know, depends on whether you're a Mac on PC, but.
I have a Mac.
Up in the top left, it says zoom.us next to the Apple. And then you go to preferences and video. And then, no, I'm sorry, preferences and virtual background.
Yeah, on mine is there a little up arrow just to the right of the camera.
Right.
Right of the camera. Oh, yeah, it's there too. Yep.
Preferences.
I just changed mine.
Swapping over to
Virtual background.
Windows unintentionally.
Oh.
So yeah, it was on Mac.
Then it says choose one, and then how do you choose?
I don't know how to operate it when I'm.
Just click on it. Click on it.
Do you see there's a, you may not have stock ones. If you don't, you can click the little plus sign and add an image from your hard drive.
Okay. Okay, thanks. I'll work on it later offline.
Oh, the club.
Yeah, Levi's at the club station.
Yeah, I can smell the donuts.
If we all did that, we'd be breaking the law.
Right.
Well, I'm up at Gibraltar now.
I'm at school in Burbank. I got all these requests for Christmas. I was like, oh gosh, I'm overwhelmed.
All right, so what do you
Okay,
guys?
how's this? Is this how's that for a virtual?
Amy.
There you go. That works.
The Patty Duke show.
Yeah. The Brady Bunch. They,
So Brian, I have a presentation for the Cuckoo Net, 7 pages long, if you want to do a quickie.
well, it's about almost 9 o'clock. You want to save it for?
Yeah.
For another
save it.
meeting?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll save it.
Is that Anna Kappa? No.
Where'd that come from? Oh, we're looking at Mike 6's screen.
It's not mine.
No, it said Mike 6. Who's Mike 6?
Don't know. Mike 6. He's muted. Let's unmute him.
Maybe he's a bomber.
Yeah, he
Mike
won't.
A Zoom bomber.
Mike 6 is KC6CBB.
Oh, good. He made it in.
Mike.
Been here I've been here after a tough start, but I've been all through the UUQ.
Mike quietly working in the woodwork.
Oh, good. Okay, glad you made it in. And this was recorded too, so I'll post it on the website if people want to go back and check any part of it out again too.
HHX has a comment.
Go ahead. Jim.
And I haven't been to meetings for a long time because we had this 30-some year Friday night pizza thing, which we're not doing now. But anyway, it was so nice to see the presentation, Bill's presentation about Santa Cruz, and to see people who are I hadn't seen in years and who are now, some of them are gone, and it was a very nice experience. And plus the detail was just great. I loved it. So I had a good time here sitting just watching. Sorry, my camera burned out, but I'll get something better next time. Anyway, thank you so much. This worked out very well. I gave you guys a 5, and I loved it. KF6 HHX.
Is that 5 out of 5 or 5 out of 10?
5 out of 5.
5 out of 4.
5 out of 5.
So what did anybody else think? Anybody else have any comments about this?
I thought it worked good.
Yeah,
it is nice to see some different people.
I thought it worked well, and I'm really happy that we recorded Bill's presentation because I've heard several of Bill's presentations, and I really think they should all be recorded. They need to be preserved because that's history, and a lot of us don't know any of that. So it's I think it's important. Hopefully we can get Bill to keep doing that. And we'll keep recording them.
Yeah.
Well, I think our tie-in with the Santa Cruz Island Foundation is going to help us as we move forward.
Is that your Viper, Ken?
How come you keep seeing these things? That's the full race one.
Wow.
The inside of the trailer looks nicer than my office.
Someone told me they said it was bigger than their house. They could live out of it. It's not that big, but
I didn't know it was so luxurious in there. That's cool.
It's carpeted. It was a joke. I bought it from a friend, and he got made fun of for so long. I think he finally decided to get rid of it.
Oh, it's nice. I got an email, Brian, from RQV. And he wanted me to address something about Zoom safety.
Well.
So I'm not sure what he meant by that, but I guess talking a little bit about, some of the stuff that's come in about it or steps you can take.
He's a little nervous about Zoom.
Well, there are 2 issues. One of them is if the meeting ID is basically a password, and what has happened is people have collected these and then they'll throw porn up on them.
Yeah.
And then the other one is that some of Zoom's servers and mirrors are in China, and so there's some concern that it's not actually end-to-end encrypted, So if you're using it for business purposes or anything that you want to keep confidential, it's not recommended for that. But those are the two major concerns.
Okay, yeah, and one of the things that came up is I think we had some people suggest, oh, we use a password, but of course, if we use a password, then it makes it harder for people to get in, and of course, you're sharing it publicly on the website anyway. So we've just sort of decided to fly by the seat of our pants here, see how it works, and if we get Zoom bombed, we'd ban the person and kick them out.
Yeah, I mean, the way you did it was great because you didn't publish the meeting ID until immediately before the meeting. And I don't know if I would happen to be logged into the SBARC site. I don't know if you made it where that link was clickable without logging in as a member.
I didn't. It was not. It's available to anyone.
Yeah.
Just because we didn't want to.
I think that was a good idea to not
put it out there.
Publish that until immediately before the event.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
Go ahead.
There is another way, Levi. You could, as the host, you can actually send a request to all parties involved with their email and to link to a secure site, and that way it prevents anybody from actually accessing it.
Yeah, the meetings are supposed to be open to the public anyway. I guess they could watch them on YouTube, but yeah, I think it worked out fine.
Yeah.
So you can use the waiting room feature to manually accept everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we didn't want to make it too difficult for people. They just need to check in, and if somebody gets on here and starts bombing us, first of all, I'm going to wonder why they're at the SBARC website. To begin with, it doesn't attract a lot of traffic from people that aren't interested in amateur radio. And number two, we can deal with them. Except this guy Ken keeps bombing us here. I don't know what's going on here, but
my thought was it's actually easier to throw somebody out of a Zoom meeting than a real life meeting. So
yeah, we had that homeless guy for like four years, and
maybe Brian knows somebody came up with some parental control software of some kind.
Yeah, we could do that. Well, this is cool. I think, if we have to do this, I mean, I've been kind of keeping up with what's going on with the, government orders and what they're anticipating. And, it's still likely going to be, even if they start opening things up, it's still likely going to be a while until it's a good idea for us to start having group meetings again. We can do social distancing and everything else, but we have a lot of members that are in the, sensitive group over 60, and myself included. And, this is a good alternative that we can do in the meantime. And if it's a pretty good success, Levi, you can post this on the website. People can take a look at it, and I've had a couple of other people that would like to do presentations, but their travel time to get here was time and stuff was an issue. And if this might be a good time to try and get a hold of them and see if they're interested in doing anything like that for the next couple of months that we may be in this situation. So anyway, but I'm pleased. At least we got a meeting in. We didn't have to abandon it like last time. Anybody else have any comments or any questions for us? Or
no, I think I'm out of here. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, Jay, for attending.
Later, Jay. Nice seeing you
Night,
again.
Jay.
Yeah, how was the resolution for most people?
Oh, beautiful.
Very good.
I think that's one of the factors. Even when you're in a room and you're putting it up against the wall, making a presentation, this seems to be a lot more resolution than.
Well, we can see it on our screens the same way you can see it on your screen.
That is fantastic, because just that part alone, you can see detail, and also you can use the pointer, and all that kind of thing.
And you can sit down.
Yeah, pretty decent, actually.
Yeah.
Hey, Russ. Right.
And if you want to make it even more fancy, you can hit on your PowerPoint, you can hit the slide view and it'll cover the entire screen.
Oh, wow. That's another
How
way.
many panes are you guys seeing that have desktops? How many different screens are you seeing at once? I see 4 on the iPhone.
I see.
I see OBB.
I see 6.
I see 6 thumbnails and a main screen.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
Put
This
it on
is,
gallery view.
this is the N6SXB, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Yeah, yeah. Could you, it might be a good idea to keep doing this even when you have in live meetings, so us out of staters and would still be interested in paying our dues.
Well, that's, I don't know if you're here for the beginning of the meeting, but I was kind of talking about that, that we might be able to keep up doing something like this in the future because there are a lot of people that live out of town, or even guys that live in Carpinteria, Ventura, or Buellton, or something like that. It's, that they don't make it to all the meetings because they're just kind of a pain to get to.
Roger that. Well, in fact, when I was at Rancho Oso, it was kind of a big ordeal for me to get there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, unless you live in Goleta, it's a drive. I mean, it still took me, 20, 25 minutes to get there and get home. I wouldn't get home before 10:15 or something usually, or 10. And, this is pretty nice. Everybody gets opportunity to chat. What the hell are you doing, Ken?
Hey, look, guys. This is the picture I'm going to try to get on as my background, which I took in Antarctica. So that's the Ross Sea and some mountains at the edge of the Ross Sea in the background with a couple of glaciers. So if I can get that up, I'll have it for my background next time.
Just store it as a JPEG on your computer and then show Zoom where it is.
Yeah, then I have, right, exactly. Well, I saw that part, but now I have to figure out how to get it. I have it stored somewhere, but I don't know where. I'll find it. Once I find it, then I can just install it exactly as you described. So.
Is Doc still there? Not Doc, Bill, UUQ.
Yeah.
If you look at my background, this is the trail that my truck can do.
Yeah.
And that's nothing compared to Figaro or up in
get well and you're hired.
This is nothing. I've done worse.
How do you think his neck got like that, Bill?
Yeah, right.
He's going to breakneck speed.
No, I fell at work off a tower in the prison, and he landed on a concrete floor, 6 feet, and herniated 6 discs in my neck and back. I retired at 44. I'm still paying for it.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't look comfortable.
It'll be fine. I'm getting better, and I feel great, and wait to get back on the road.
Wow. Well, hope you're feeling good. Have you heard anything about Dennis today?
Yes, I called him just before the meeting. He says he was able to keep down some food. He's taken in some antibiotics and some water and fluids, and he's able to be happy, and he can communicate, and he feels a little better than he did the day before.
Okay. Didn't say anything about coming home yet?
Joanne seems to think it may be pushed a couple days.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see, I'm looking at the votes here. We've got 57% voted excellent, 43% voted very good. I'm wondering about why they didn't vote excellent. But
where's the voting?
I don't know. It just popped up on my screen.
Is that on Yahoo?
No, no, it's on Zoom. I just created the poll quickly. I don't know why it ended though. It's kind of weird. There was no control of how long it was up for, but basically I just wanted I created the.
I wanted to vote, but I couldn't. It wouldn't allow me to.
Let me see if I can do it again. So we got 3 and 4. Oops. Let me see if I can get it. I'll hit relaunch and it'll see what it.
There we go.
Yeah, try it now.
Am I now obligated to select excellent due to Brian's comment?
Who
No,
voted
His
terrible?
pay is dependent on it.
No, I gave it a 5 because it's the most activity we've seen in a long time and face to face. And it's a lot easier to see everybody face to face on this meeting than it is at the school.
Somebody voted terrible.
I think it was SXB. He said we didn't serve cocktails, and we had a complaint. We had a complaint in the YouTube chat that said from Mark Tokar, W6TOK. He said that it was very informative and interesting meeting, but where were the cookies?
Hey, it was BYOB.
They're in your kitchen.
In the kitchen.
Doc, are you proposing a toast?
Well, it's non-alcoholic beer, so I don't know if it works. For
Yeah,
toast.
got a Harry's.
One of the
Harry's
advantages of this
water.
is we don't have to stand out in the parking lot chatting in the freezing cold for an hour afterwards. We can do it in the comfort of our homes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everybody. Well, I guess we can let everybody go home now.
We are home.
Go further home.
Hey, why don't we go meet at the library or at the school board?
Yeah, I hope everybody will drive carefully tonight.
Hey, Brian, I'll be happy to do a presentation on the Cuckoo Weather Net and how I keep records on the trivia questions. I think a lot of people are interested in that.
That might.
Seems to be, huh? Whoops. Oh, there's Doc.
I'm checking out here.
All right. I
Right,
think
folks.
I am too. Thank you all for attending tonight. And
It's a great meeting.
this is a good way to spend Friday evening.
Mhm.
I'll get home a little earlier than normal, and you guys stay healthy, and we'll do it all again maybe next month. Oh, that's beautiful, Dorothy. I like that background. Say something, Dorothy, so we can see your background.
Oh, it's
wow.
This is the light field up at Sensoria in Paso Robles. It was up there last winter.
That's back when we were allowed to go places.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a lot of photos.
Oh, cool.
You win the prize.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Excellent work, everybody. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I could see how much work goes into the repeater system, which I had never really realized before. So, Bill, hats off to you and all your crew, and Wayne and everybody, and Levi, excellent work in getting this together. It was, and Brian, I was glad to see this. I had a good time. Camp 6 HHX.
All right. Well, good night, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Brian, this is my first meeting in 14 years. Thank you for
Whoa.
now attending.
Oh, glad you could come, Mike.
Great meeting. Yeah.
Okay.